Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. When we see Iran in the news, we usually get this very monolithic picture. But today, we're actually looking closely at the data to reveal the complex, incredibly ancient layers of religious identity that are hidden just beneath the surface of the country.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Looking at the numbers right off the bat, the dominant narrative is super clear. An overwhelming 90 to 95% of the population practices Shia Islam. But that is literally just the tip of the iceberg. It's the highly visible state identity. What we're going to explore today is that absolutely crucial 5 to 10% that makes up the rest of the population. Because within that tiny slice lies a breathtaking variety of ancient traditions, minority branches, and beautifully blended faiths.
So, here is our roadmap. We'll start off with Section 1, Main Religion, Shia Islam. Then, Section 2, Sunni and other Islamic streams. From there, Section 3 covers ancient and recognized minority religions. And finally, Section 4 uncovers unrecognized and syncretic religious beliefs. Basically, we're moving from the highly visible state religion all the way down to the deepest, most hidden traditions.
All right, Section 1, Main Religion, Shia Islam. To really understand Iran, we've got to start our journey right at the top of that iceberg.
Twelver Shia Islam is absolutely the cornerstone of the Iranian state. Following the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran officially became an Islamic republic. And the foundational belief here is that Hazrat Ali and the 12 Imams are the true successors to the Prophet Muhammad. If you look at the public and spiritual life of the country, it's completely anchored by major religious festivals, specifically Ashura and Arbaeen. And these aren't just dates on a calendar, right? They are massive, deeply emotional observances that literally shut down streets and completely define the rhythm of the entire nation.
Okay, moving just below the surface. Section 2, Sunni and other Islamic streams.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the geography. There is this distinct ring around that central Shia majority. Iran's Sunni Muslims make up about 5 to 7% of the population, and they are largely concentrated out in the border provinces, places like Kurdistan, Sistan-Baluchistan, Gulistan, and Hormozgan. It's a fantastic example of how geography and ethnicity intersect directly with religion. The Sunni population here is incredibly diverse. We're talking about Kurds, Baluch, Turkmen, and Arab communities, primarily following the Hanafi and Shafi schools of Islamic jurisprudence.
And, even within Shia Islam itself, there's a ton of historical diversity. Take the Ismaili Muslims, for instance, who revere the seventh Imam, Ismail ibn Jafar. Today, their community in Iran is quite small, mostly found in Mahalat and parts of northern Iran, and they're led globally by the Aga Khan. Now contrast them with the Zaidi Muslims, who follow the fifth Imam, Zaidan Ali. While they historically held a lot of influence in northern Iran, their numbers in the country right now are basically negligible, as that tradition is predominantly practiced over in Yemen today.
We also absolutely have to talk about the spiritual heart of the region, which is Sufism. Several Sufi orders, including the Namatalahi and Ghanabadi, are active in Iran. Their focus is deeply spiritual, emphasizing a really inward search for God. And what's beautiful is how intertwined this tradition is with legendary Persian poets like Rumi, Hafez, and Sadi. However, looking at the data objectively, it's important to note that the state tightly regulates and in some cases entirely bans certain Sufi orders. So you have this incredibly complex dynamic between ancient spiritual paths and modern state governance.
Let's go a bit deeper now. Section 3, Ancient and Recognized Minority Religions.
Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. This simple three-part philosophy is the absolute core of Zoroastrianism, which holds the incredible title of being Iran's oldest monotheistic faith.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ancient roots of the country. Founded by Zarathustra, Zoroastrianism was once the mighty state religion of the Persian Empire. Today, making up about 0.2% of the population, followers continue to worship the creator, Ahura Mazda, often praying right in the presence of sacred fire. The historical continuity here is staggering, really, with surviving communities primarily centered in the ancient cities of Yazd and Kerman.
So politically speaking, how does the Islamic Republic handle these ancient minorities? Well, the Iranian constitution officially recognizes specific groups and guarantees them parliamentary representation. Christianity, at about 0.2% of the population, is guaranteed 2 seats. Judaism, at about 0.02%, is guaranteed 1 seat. Let's look just a bit closer at these communities.
The Christian demographic in Iran is not some recent development. It has super deep historical roots. They are primarily followers of the Armenian Orthodox Church and the Assyrian Church of the East.
If you actually visit cities like Tehran, Tabriz, or Isfahan, you will find their prominent, beautifully historic churches still standing and completely active today.
Next up, check out this number, 2,700. Now, that's not a population stat. That number represents the 2,700-year unbroken history of the Jewish presence in Iran. This lineage dates literally all the way back to the era of Cyrus the Great, making Iranian Jews one of the oldest continuing Jewish communities anywhere in the world.
So, the crucial point here is understanding how this demographic has shifted in modern times. Relying strictly on the source data, we see a really stark contrast. Prior to 1979, the Jewish population in Iran was around 100,000. Today, that number has declined to roughly 8,000 to 10,000 individuals, residing primarily in Tehran, Shiraz, and Isfahan. It's a significant demographic shift that just highlights the changing realities over the last few decades.
All right, we are now diving to the very bottom of the iceberg. Section 4, Unrecognized and Syncretic Religious Beliefs.
We'll start with the Baha'i Faith, which makes up about 0.1% of the population. Originating right in Iran during the 19th century under its founder, Baha'u'llah, the faith preaches the unity of all people, gender equality, and the harmony of science and religion. However, reporting impartially on our source material, there's a stark contrast between these teachings of unity and the reality in Iran. The government doesn't officially recognize the Baha'i Faith, and its followers face systemic issues, including arrests, discrimination, and a strict denial of access to higher education.
Before we look at our final groups, we really need to define a term, syncretic or hybrid belief. Basically, this is a religion formed by the blending of multiple distinct religious traditions, philosophies, or practices over time. This concept is absolutely crucial for understanding how the following ancient groups evolved by mixing different regional traditions over centuries. Take the Yarsin faith, for example, also known as Al-Ahaq. This is a truly mysterious and fascinating blend of the region's history. It combines elements of Islam, Shia reverence, Zoroastrianism, and ancient Persian beliefs. Found primarily among Kurdish and Lur populations in the Kermanshah and Ilam provinces, they possess highly unique spiritual practices, including a strong belief in the reincarnation of the soul and the use of sacred religious music. But much like the Baha'i, they are officially unrecognized by the state. Let's move to and see how this builds with the Yazidi faith. Pulling from Islam, Zoroastrianism, and deep Mesopotamian elements, they are really well known for their sacred peacock symbol. Now, while the vast majority of Yazidis live in neighboring Iraq and Turkey, very small numbers of this community can still be found right there on the Iranian-Kurdish borders.
Then we have the Mandaeans. Honestly, it is astonishing to realize that this is one of the world's oldest living religions. They revere Yahya, or John the Baptist, as their absolute highest prophet, and even today down in Khuzestan province, a small community continues to practice sacred baptisms exclusively in natural flowing waters. The sheer survival of this tradition over millennia is just astounding.
Finally, adding to this incredibly rich tapestry is a small Hindu community in Iran. Located mostly in Bandar Abbas and Tehran, this group is largely made up of Indian-descended business professionals. Their presence is a direct, living testament to the deep historical trade routes and ancient commercial ties that have linked India and Persia for centuries.
So we've looked at 13 distinct identities today, moving from the state-endorsed majority all the way down to ancient flowing water baptisms. It leaves us with a pretty profound question. How do such diverse, ancient, and intricate beliefs continue to survive just below the surface of a seemingly monolithic state? The demographics of Iran are clearly not just numbers. They are a living museum of human faith. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity to learn even more about the rich, hidden history of this fascinating region. Until next time, keep questioning and keep learning.